This is Spencer Colgan from Spencer Colgan is Wallpaper. And this was our other bathroom. It's a large bathroom with many stalls, handicap accessible as well. Just your basic commercial vinyl. But I call it basic because it is a basic wall covering for commercial applications, but I love the wall covering. It's one of the more challenging wall coverings to install because it's so good, it kind of traps the air underneath it. It's the flip side of having a good wall covering. And so we take pride in our cuts. You know, a painter or a wallpaper or whatever, in any trade, the details are what makes the wallpaper hanger. For example, let me show you something. If this corner were improperly installed, I don't want to brag about my work. I mean, we all do what we know, what we're best at. And so this corner there's no air in here. There's no pockets of air. There's no loose edges here. This corner is cut perfectly to fit into and goes with the waves of the wall. This is not a perfectly plumb corner. So the wall covering expert has to make sure that his wall covering is pliable in that it fits in the corner according to the plumb or lack of plumb of the wall. And so it has to be stretched. But here's another challenge. You see this design on the wall covering? You see these right angles? Every time you have an intersecting point, you have an angle. In this case, it's a 90-degree angle, these crosses. The challenge with this is that when you put them in the corner, if your corner is off a lot, you're going to see converging lines on these corners. So the wallpaper expert has to have a square to put in the corner to see how much or how little the corner is off, and then hang his wallpaper accordingly. What I mean by that is, if this corner is off a lot, well, these intersecting points, you can imagine two parallel lines and then they converge on each other. Well, that's what'll happen if your corner is way off. And there's a way to deal with it. Sometimes it's inevitable, but the wall covering expert has to take into account that the corners, if they're off, he's got to stretch the paper, and commercial vinyl is one such wall covering that you can do that to. You can stretch it, but you need a heat gun, and it takes time, so that you can move the wall covering over to the corner so that your angles are not significantly visible if your corner should be off. And on this job, I did videos on this, these walls are a little off. Okay, so we have this wall, and then we come around to the vanity. These were off. Let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. So we have vertical lines in our wall covering, right? So if this wall is off a ½ inch from the bottom all the way up to the top, it's going to affect the lines on the wall covering. The wall covering expert has to remember, in order to best hide that, the vertical lines have to be in the middle. If they're at the edge, they're going to run off the edge, and you're going to accentuate the fact that the wall isn't perfect. It's just a little trick that the wall covering expert has to keep in mind when he's hanging wallpaper. Okay, so there's nothing else to show you other than, I don't want to show you toilet bowls, but these are the stalls. And we're very proud of our work. This is Spencer Colgan from Spencer Colgan is Wallpaper. If you have any questions, and I mean any questions about anything that I can help you with, shoot me a comment below. If you have any suggestions about how we do our work, if you have a suggestion, you folks have come up with some brilliant ideas that I've actually employed while I install my wallpaper. Mix my plaster. I love suggestions, and we actually use them. So please leave us a comment. We invite any comments, any constructive criticism that you may have, and we use it. Thanks very much for watching Spencer Colgan is Wallpaper. please leave a comment and please subscribe to our channel. And we thank everybody who watches our videos, because we're growing, and we're growing in friendships with people now all over the world. I thank you, and this is Spencer Colgan. I'll see you on the next one.